What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dog Waters, and I'm back. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I hope your Sunday is going extremely well. I'm going to bring you a quick video, and I'm going to tell you what I see coming down the pipeline. I think it's important that I explain some of this to you. We got the Democratic National Convention coming down the pipeline, and oh, that's awesome. Okay. Sorry. We got Democratic National Convention coming down the pipeline, and I anticipate there being extreme levels of violence, and they're programming it for there to be extreme levels of violence. But why would this violence be happening? Let's be clear. We've identified that non-governmental organizations get governmental funding, and then they turn around and they pay for protesters to come out into protest. But why do they want to protest? What is the expectation? What do they plan to get? Are they just wreaking havoc just to wreak havoc, or do they have a plan? Or are they cover for something else? I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that someone will say that this is a conspiracy theory, and I may agree with them. It is a theory, although I will not say it's a conspiracy, because all the evidence lines up. If you go back and you look at the fact that coming across the border of the United States of America have been all kinds of people, military-aged men. The one that's most disturbing to me that has come across the border is the Chinese soldiers, young Chinese soldiers who came across the border, same backpack, same shoes, brand new tattoos to make themselves look like they're cartel members or members of some type of gang, and they've come across the border marching in formation, and Joe Biden has let them in. So essentially you have an army inside of America, and we know that we're going into a situation where the Democrats are about to lose this election. Hands down, this election is already lost. And so if you wanted to create an environment or an event where the martial law that's already in place, that's been in place since 9/11, can be full in force and just brought out into the street, something needs to happen to somebody at a large level. And I submit to you that the assassination of Donald Trump, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, was what's supposed to usher in that martial law on the streets. Again, we've been under martial law for a very long time, but if he would have been able to be assassinated, then they would have been able to roll out troops into the streets and say, oh no, we got the violence that we want, and we got everything, and there will be no election. So the danger that we face right here, right now, is that somewhere in this environment that you see in front of you on the screen, someone is going to take a shot at one of these politicians. And if you think for a second that the deep state, after trying to assassinate Donald Trump multiple times, the first time trying to assassinate him on stage, the second time trying to do something to his plane, the third time trying to do something to J.D. Vance's plane, if you think they're not going to take a shot at the other side, you are out of your mind. Because although the Democratic Party and the rulers of the Democratic Party are one faction that's fighting for control of the United States, there's a much larger, more powerful faction that's the permanent bureaucracy that has been in place, that will be in place. The people that Putin talks about in his speeches when he says, I have seen president after president of the United States, and they all come into office and they have the greatest ideas, and then the men with suits come and explain to them how things shall work. I hold out hope for America. So you have this powerful bureaucracy that is in place, but you have these strained relationships between the Democratic Party and that bureaucracy. It's clearly evident. They work together when it's for their common good, but when things aren't going exactly the way they want them to, everybody is food on the table. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that I think they're going to take a shot at somebody during this event. They already got it staged for the protesters. Hold on, let me just show you real quick.
Chicago's guard is already up. Fencing lining the streets, roads closed off to vehicles. A large protective zone built around the United Center, where Vice President Harris is set to accept the Democratic nomination for president.
And just like at the Republican convention in Milwaukee, Secret Service responsible for everything inside that hardened perimeter. Local police taking the lead for nearly everything else is the
Secret Service. And we know that the Secret Service has had its issues. And think about it for a moment. If the Secret Service had issues when it came to protecting Donald Trump, and the head of the Secret Service, who recently stepped down, but nonetheless, the Secret Service has been gutted from the inside with a woke agenda, with woke politics. The Secret Service is not what it used to be. And I submit to you that there's men and women inside the Secret Service who've been there for a very long time, really, that are upset about what had the image that's been portrayed of them based on the Donald Trump assassination attempt. And so if we just go to a 100,000-foot view and we look at it, it's all lining up perfectly. The Secret Service is already in the spotlight for being a failure. And remember, the powers that be don't care about who they use. It's clear because they used the Secret Service and destroyed the reputation of the Secret Service. It's absolutely clear. So, would it be far-fetched to think that something can happen at the Democratic National Convention? I don't think it's far-fetched at all. Would it be far-fetched to think that they chose Chicago because Chicago is a place that's filled with corruption, that they can cover things up, like the Jussie Smollett thing that was covered up for a very long time? Not far-fetched to think at all. Who else is in Chicago, ladies and gentlemen? What other politicians were out of Chicago? Really think about it. Wasn't it Anthony Weiner from this area? If I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking Anthony Weiner was from this area. So, Chicago has long been ripe with corruption. You have an environment that's perfect for this. Absolutely perfect. Chicago PD on the outside, black police chief, black mayor. They take the downfall for anything that happens. Secret Service weakened and the image of Secret Service damaged. And then Kamala Harris going to take the nomination or accept the nomination, which we're still not sure about that. I'm interested in seeing if she's actually going to get the nomination. But it's the perfect powder keg for something to go wrong.
Chicago Police Department ready for the DNC.
Yeah, I've said it for a while. The Chicago Police Department is ready.
Chicago's top cop says there are no specific incredible threats, but to expect a heavy police presence throughout the city.
It's a huge project, but the Chicago Police Department and the city as a whole is used to working towards something this large.
Looming over the convention is the promise of large-scale protests just blocks from the United Center.
This is one of the streets we'll be on, yes.
Despite months of legal battles over the protest area, the largest demonstration is expected to draw more than 20,000 people. Hatem Aboudeya is one of the lead organizers preparing to voice his opposition to Israel's war in Gaza.
What? Perfect cover. Absolute perfect cover. Why would they parade him out? I mean, the absolute perfect cover for the Chinese soldiers, the Iranian soldiers, the Afghan terrorists that have come into this nation to do something. The perfect cover. A major city in America where something can go down. Well, all eyes are on that city. Do you see it? Can you possibly see what the Stankonia sees? I don't know. I could be wrong. I want to be wrong. Because I don't want to see any of these people get their head bust and then turn around and then they bring in martial law, or they clamp down with martial law tactics and techniques. But they need it. They absolutely need it at this point in time. See, their constituents don't understand it because the constituents are still like, oh, Kamala's great. But if you look at the news right now, watch this. And this is the scariest thing. You notice over the past 48 hours, the liberal mainstream media news has turned on Kamala. Turned on Kamala. Turned. And so they're signaling something as well. I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be on your game. You need to be paying attention to what's going on out here in these streets, because it's not looking that damn good. I'm just keeping it real with you. It's not looking good. When you read all the tea leaves and everything that's out there, it's not looking good. I'm going to cook me some steak and lobster. I'll holler at y'all later.